All right, guys, so we're out here under the hood. To get this cover off, you snap this off. There's one 10mm bolt right here. And then you just pop the corners up. And the whole cover comes off. All right, now what I want to do is get this plenum out of the way. So there's a hose here that'll pop right off. We want to take this temp sensor connector off. Then let me get an 8mm. We'll unsnap the airbox. Right there. And then I think once I get this clamp here undone, I think we'll be ready. And you can use a flat blade screw. If you don't have one of these, you need to get you one. It's got a magnet, but it's also got the claws. Just drop my socket down here. Very easy to get with that tool. You can use a flat blade screwdriver on these, but I always just use an 8mm. It's just a lot easier for me. Little wire retention deal right there. Now I think, yep, there we go. Yep, there. So this is the left hand, or the driver's side, VVL solenoid. So let me see, let me get some of these harnesses undone. And then we'll go from there. Forgot to reposition the camera, so I don't know what you saw. There's a bolt right here that attaches this wiring harness conduit, and there's a bolt right here, and it looks like there is a, what I call a little Christmas tree. I'm just getting the connector off the EGR valve. And I'm hoping that, yeah, hoping I'm going to be able to just lay that off to the side. Just like that. So that's good. Now there's a little harness underneath this. But it may not be actually connected to the intake. there's a hose in the back, PVC hose or something. Looks like this hose right here. That might be the, I'm not sure what that is. Actually, that'll stay on the intake. There's a little retainer clip. If you push this, it spreads these apart, so you don't have to use any tools or anything on that. All right. We're almost there, guys. That's going to stay. Gosh dang it. Come on now. I'm going to get an air hose and blow this off. It looks like there's been a rat chewing around on this deal, on this engine. I'm going to have to get this bolt off, or nut, just to give you a close-up of what I've done so far. So I've got this harness, just disconnect the connectors from everything, pop this harness out of the retention holes. I've got this bolt removed. I'm going to take this nut off. Now there was a stud up here. There's going to be two. This one, and there's one farther back right there. It's going to come off, and then we're going to have the looks like 8mm. There's 8 of those. Oh, I'm also going to have to remove this hose right here. This is the EGR valve. It's strange to me that they've got such a big coolant hose going to it, but whatever. So there is going to be some coolant loss here, but this is at pretty much the highest point in the system, so there shouldn't be very much. But I am going to have to remove that, it looks like. I don't know if it'd be easier to... Looks like I'm going to have to remove this too. So I'll do that. Then we'll decide then which way I'm going to go with this. Man, they engineered that tight, that's for sure. All right, so right now I'm going to just disconnect that coolant hose, or at least the clamp, and then these 2 bolts back in the back. And I think, other than the 8 top intake bolts, I think that's going to be it. Let me get an air hose. Okay, so I've got this hose broke loose, and my plan is to just, when I pull the intake up off here, I'm hoping that will pull itself loose. And I think I've got everything I need. So let me get these, what do I need here? Okay. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that top one right there that I'm going to have to get off by hand is the last one. Let me get a ratchet wrench. Sorry that you're just getting nothing but a shot of my arm. And a lot of times you can pull these up and just give them just a little bit of a twist, and they will stay in the intake, up in the intake, instead of falling down and blocking you. Okay, so I think that may be it. If I can just pull it off, let me show you what I'm dealing with right here. So this hose right here, I think, is the only thing left holding this intake on. So I'm just gonna have to pull. I've stuck it all in there, and I broke the seal loose around there. So I'm hoping I'll just be able to pull that off. There we go. And there's the intake. This will stay in there. I'm going to put rags. The manual does say, I've gotten critiqued over this over the years, but if these seals, this car's got 71,000 miles on it, you can see that these seals are still plenty pliable. They're raised proud of the surface of the lower intake. I reuse these. I've reused them on dozens of cars. I've never had a problem because of these. Now, if they're flat, if they're compressed flat, and they're not sticking up relatively proud of the surface, you may want to replace them. The manual actually says reuse these if they're still good. So I don't have a problem at all reusing these. Anyway, this is the sensor that we need right here. get a rag so I don't drip oil everywhere. That's just to make sure that nothing falls down in the intake. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It's not sludged up. It looks like they've probably changed the oil on a regular basis. If we can reach down in here with these two pins right here, we should be able to actuate this and see if it sounds solid. All right, guys, so I've just got a couple jumpers that I used to use at work, and they look like to be about the same size as these pins down here. So we're going to get on those pins, hopefully. First thing I want to do is just read the resistance. I have no idea what they should read. 13.5 ohms. Seems probably about right. Got my power supply. Shouldn't matter about polarity because this is just a solenoid, I think. Pulling about 0.9 amps. Seems like it's got a good solid click. So let's check the new one. Just to see how it compares on resistance and that click. Now I don't know, there's a rattle, there's a little ball bearing in here, I believe. And I don't know if that thing can get stuck. Or not. Okay. 12.5 ohms. I think that other one was what, 13.5? Something like that. So that's probably fine. So now let's go ahead and give it some power. This one draws 0.9 amps also. Sounds as good, I guess. So we're going to go in with this new one. All right, guys, so we're ready to go back in with the intake. I've got the new VVL solenoid in, connectors connected. So I think we're good to go. Sometimes it's easier to just bungee stuff out of the way. That way you're not fighting it when you're trying to install components. For instance, this intake. Because I'm going to have to pull up on, first I'm going to have to fish the water neck in here for the EGR valve, and then I'm going to need to hold that aft bolt up so that it's not dropping down and catching on anything. So I like to bungee stuff out of the way, that way you don't have to fight it even more than you have to. So let's get set up here. All right, there we go. Okay, the water neck hose is on. want to hold this bolt up while we position the intake down here where it belongs. There we go. I think we're on, guys. Let me see if that'll screw down. Yeah. I'm not going to go all the way down. I'll snug them up in a crisscross pattern, and then I'll torque them. Okay. I'll probably fast forward through a lot of the installation because it's just the reverse of coming off. The water neck hose, or the EGR coolant hose, it went on luckily very easy. So this is actually a pretty simple intake to remove. It looks intimidating when you first look at it, but just like a lot of vehicles, it's fine. Whoop. All right, guys, the intake's on. I'm going to give it a once over, make sure I didn't miss anything, and then we're going to get inside the cab. Don't forget you've got a hose back here that you got to get on, and you got to get it off to obviously pull the intake off. And then we're going to reset everything, see how it runs, and hope for the best. Check and make sure, okay, no DTCs. Okay, let's start it up, see how it does. The engine light's off. We'll let it warm up. We'll let him drive it, and if the engine light comes back on, I'll have him bring it over and we'll rescan it and see if either that code or a different code is set, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, this was a 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Had a P105c code, and running the VVL service test showed that cylinder 1 had over 2,000 misfires. So we went after the VVL solenoid for that cylinder. And before I publish this video, I will wait about a couple weeks. He said that he had that light reset one time and it came back on in about a day, and he's been driving it like that for about 3 weeks. So we'll see, we'll see how it all does. Anyway, that's it for this video. You guys take care. We'll see you.